Hello and welcome. This is Anderson Community Television, and you're watching your July edition of Anderson Speaks. I'm your host, Kyle Densler, and if you could, help me welcome our first guest today. With me is Claire O'Connell. She is the Activity Coordinator at the Anderson Senior Center. Claire, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
We're happy to have you. You have lots of exciting stuff to talk about, things that are going on at the center. So just in general, what's a day like at the Anderson Senior Center?
We have more going on before noon than most people do in a week. All variety of exercise classes, a lot of bridge. We offer a congregate meal every day from 11:30 to 12:30. A lot of people come and get, their square meal. It helps people make friends. A lot of people are recently widowed, don't know where to turn, and the Senior Center is a great place to start and make new friends.
Okay. So you provide meals, there's activities. Does it vary during the week, or is it very different between like morning versus evening, and what times are things available?
Throughout the day, we have a lot of people use the center as their space. So they come and do their club and their hobby, and we just house them. We have wonderful wood carvers. They are 9:30 Wednesday morning, and the work they do is just masterful. We have quilters. That's in the afternoon. So it's runs the gamut. We are increasing our programming for some evenings and weekends to attract people who might want to give us a try, or are maybe younger or recently retired or still working and want to start getting connected with the center before they are in their 80s. Mm-hmm. So we like to say we're the best kept secret in Anderson.
I noticed that you mentioned people who are still working. I imagine there are people watching at home who, as soon as I said Anderson Senior Center, they thought, oh, this doesn't apply to me.
I'm not old enough to go there.
Exactly. Who all does this apply to, and how can they take advantage of it?
Really, anyone at any age can join the center. The membership is a nominal fee. We have a lot of members who bring their adult children that are, say, my age on trips, and that's a nice thing. You can live even out of the Anderson area and belong. Say if you lived in Mount Washington or Claremont County, we, aren't restrictive in that regard.
So you're very welcoming, very inclusive.
Indeed.
So, but as far as the activities and stuff, they are probably going to be centered towards folks who are of the senior age, retirement age, to engage them. But if you're younger than that, you can still be involved. Like you said, you can have some family members, multi-generational, or intergenerational. Is that the correct term?
Intergenerational. Well, I work really hard to make sure that every place we go and visit is handicapped accessible and minimal walking. But most of our folks live in their own homes, drive their own cars, are very independent. You'd be amazed at what people that are 96 that are doing. There's a picture that I wanted to show of, I call it the three Claires. It's myself and two other ladies. And it was from a Western party. Claire Alfieri's 96, and the other lady is 92.
Wow.
And they both still drive. They read books you and I read. They're current on everything. And that's one thing about my job I really enjoy, is that I can have great conversations with these folks and also benefit from, their years of experience. It's not what you would think, I would say.
It's not like a place where not to be crass, but like, hey, Grandma and Grandpa need babysat while we go and do our thing today.
Absolutely
this is
not.
a center of, like a hub for like social activity
Yes.
for people who are in similar situations.
Right.
And it's very active
Right.
from what I understand.
And a lot of people have made really good friends there. We've had people that have met and gotten married.
Wow.
The company that runs the center, along with Anderson Township Senior Independence, does have adult day centers, which is a little bit more of what you described, which is where mom or dad would go during the day for activities and meals and even bathing. Those folks are not independent, but they might live at home with son or daughter who's still working. That's not what we provide. We are not a secured facility. It's, you know, come and go at will. Come do your thing, have fun, meet your friends, off you go. Today we had a birthday party. People were doing the cha-cha. You know, so a lot of what we do is just really try and have a good time.
Awesome. As an example, are there any special events or big things happening this summer, or what might it look like there this summer?
One thing we're doing that we're excited about is going to be actually at the Anderson Center. We're having a dinner theater with a wonderful entertainer called Maureen Martin and her musical review. She's got a cast of 4 people. And in the community room upstairs, we're going to have a dinner theater catered and watch her show. Some other things we're going to be doing is sometimes we charter a bus and head a little further afield, and we're going to be going up to Utica, Ohio, and touring the Velvet Ice Cream Factory.
Oh, wow.
July is National Ice Cream Month.
Wow.
And there's some shopping built into that, so that's a day trip. So we do a lot of day trips. We also have, you know, availability for folks to travel on more extended trips that we offer, you know, pick up and drop off through the center. Last year we had 20 people go to New York.
Wow.
They really enjoyed that. We had another really big group go to Michigan. And, you know, these are all folks who just have made friends at the center and enjoy being together. And they help each other out as far as rides or different things.
You just help provide ideas or places or plans and just say, hey, you know, run with it, and people just kind of do what they want.
Right. We put out a bi-monthly newsletter, and the trips and events are listed in there, and people sign up for what they're interested in. We did a tour of Channel 12 in the spring.
Cool.
Met Cammie Durking. That was really a pleasure. That was something that we did that was fun. We went to Jungle Gyms and shopped around and enjoyed that. So I try and provide some things that are cultural, some things inside the township for people who might not want to be gone that long or ride on the bus that long. I try and find some of Cincinnati's kind of hidden gems. It's amazing. We went to Findlay Market, and several people, lifelong Cincinnatians, had never been there.
Wow.
The other thing that I find is we have a lot of adult children that are brand new to the Anderson area that are moving here to be near family.
Okay.
So recently, a Wisconsin, a Connecticut, someone else new from Florida. So it's my pleasure to take them around and show them Cincinnati. Like that, you know, they've never seen it before. We went to the zoo a few weeks ago, saw the zoo babies. That was really fun. That was the very first week they were out. And the gentleman from Connecticut went. He couldn't believe how clean our zoo was.
Huh.
So it's been fun to get around Cincinnati and discover that with a busload of people.
It sounds like there's
Something for everybody.
you have to pick something because you're not going to be able to do everything. It sounds like you guys are very active, very full.
We have some people who are there every day almost and take almost every trip. And then, you know, there's some people who pick and choose, or a lot of our members are very busy. They're still babysitting, some of them still work part-time. They do a lot of volunteer work at the Mercy Hospital, or they work at Interparish Ministries, they work at the Museum Center. So we try and take in a lot of the exhibits at the museum, you know. So drop them off at the door, they get a group rate, and they get to do something they might not do otherwise.
There you go. Again, I think some people have that, and we've already discussed this, but they have this idea that they hear the word senior center, and they're like, oh, people just kind of sitting around playing bingo.
There's a stigma.
These are people who are very active, very busy. These are people that you go to church with, that you live near, that you're related to, that you used to work with or still work with. So it's just, it's a kind of a landing spot where they can go and relax, in almost like a club atmosphere, where they can all, hey, let's take a trip, let's go do this. I think that's really cool. It sounds like you guys have tons of options.
To try and have something for everybody. The neat thing that I find too is if someone is new to the center, they're pretty much welcomed, and I'll say, you know, this is the person who's here for the very first time. More than likely, in the first few minutes, they'll say, I went to grade school with you.
Huh.
Oh, aren't you my cousin's neighbor? Or, you know, you taught my kids at McNick. So everyone's pretty welcomed, unless they sit around and complain about their physical ailments. That's pretty much a no-no. It really is.
No poor mouthing it about health.
No, because
Gotta
then
stay
it'd be like a card game, you know. Oh, my hip. Oh, your hip. Oh, my hip. My shoulder. Well, you think you got a bad hip and shoulder. So people don't sit around and complain, because what's the point of that? So for the most part, our folks are really positive, and they're the prototype for healthy aging. And that's something that I'm really proud of, and the center's really proud of, that we have here in Anderson.
That's a really good point. I think as America transitions, as we have this large number of people who enter the retirement age, it's life for that age group looks different than it did 10 or 20 years ago. And so this, like you said, it's kind of, these people are a prototype. And do you feel like the center itself and how you run it is kind of a prototype, like you're kind of out in new territory, so to speak?
Well, several things with that. I feel like we're pretty cutting edge as far as we had an archery program. And archery used to be a high school gym requirement. And so it's becoming popular now, but the great thing about it is you don't have to be strong, you don't have to be tall, you don't have to be fast, you just have to have a little bit of strength. And so that was something that we did that I thought was really neat. But the face of the senior centers as a whole are going to be changing because of how we all live. And we have a Facebook page. A lot of our members are on Facebook. So we're trying to keep up with that electronic technology world that we're in, and kind of educate our members to that as well, as a way to communicate with them. We also have a lot of computer classes that are run by volunteers, anything from Excel to digital photography to just very basic computer skills. So people who haven't been familiar with a computer can get familiar. We had a Facebook class not too long ago. We're having a Skype class next week.
I think that's really important. Facebook and Skype allow, you know, grandparents and parents and grandchildren and extended family to communicate in ways that weren't possible before. So the ability to do that, I think, can have a big impact.
And it's just surprising that, you know, these folks want to stay connected, and they know that, you know, they need to if they want to stay in touch. And once they bridge that gap, whether it's a texting, they all text. You know, they're in their 90s. And they do that so they can communicate with kids and grandkids and keep up with their busy schedule that they have. So we have just a variety of things. We do have a lot of bridge and a lot of different cards, and I mean, we do have bingo. But, you know, people come and do their particular thing. We have several exercise classes. I teach 2 of them. One is more cardiovascular endurance, designed mostly for people to stand, but wouldn't have to. And then I teach an Arthritis Foundation exercise class, which is more chair-based and done with the support of a chair. So trying to meet people's physical needs, all being in the same room at the same time, you know, adapting to the individual.
Awesome.
So we have some of our members teach line dancing classes. So they, you know, it's member to member teaching.
Very cool. And they take ownership, and that's good to see.
And a lot of the computer instructors, one was a pediatrician, you know, and so now so they're pursuing what they've always wanted to do. We have a really active genealogy group, so they're just doing what they wanted to do when they were too busy raising their family and working.
Pay my bills, working all day. I can do what I want. Real quick, we have a few minutes left. What is the Shaboom program?
Shaboom was our effort to attract younger members that might be still working, that might want something to do in the evening. Seems like a lot of times people kind of fold up their tents around 1:30 to get home before rush hour. But there are those folks out there who want to do something at night. So a lot of times we'll do a Reds game in the evening or on the weekend, or go to a show at the Arnoff or at Music Hall. A lot of those are offered in the evenings and weekends. So we were kind of reaching out to the boomers, and so we want to grow that program and welcome people at any age to come check us out before you need us or before you're 80.
So part of it is like before you reach the retirement age to kind of familiarize, to put down some roots there. But it sounds like you guys even have a thought of part of the overall vision of being a social and interactive place for the community at large, not just focused on seniors, but hey, you know, when in the evenings, you know, if it's a family, if you're pre-retirement, you can join us. Come on in. We have some things. We're not going to limit ourselves as seniors. That is kind of our forte. But am I picking up on that correctly? Because that sounds pretty cool.
Well, you know, we definitely need to be in the business of member recruitment and retention, and the only way to see how much fun we have is to come and check it out. We have a website, AndersonTownshipSeniorCenter.com.
There we go. That'll be on the screen for everybody to see.
And our website has our current newsletter and our Shaboom, which was an insert. And we're offering some AARP safe driving classes. We have some yoga in the evening. So we're really trying to get the word out. Unfortunately, you can't see our building from the street. People drive by all the time, didn't know you were back here.
This is a billboard, I guess.
That would be good.
But you do have a website, and we're out of time, so I'm going to direct everyone at home. If you're interested in seeing what the center has to offer, not just for seniors, but for everybody, go to their website, AndersonTownshipSeniorCenter.com. Check it out. Go in and visit. Say hi to Claire. Claire, I want to thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you. It was my pleasure.
Thank you for sharing more about the center and what you're doing for the community. We'll be right back with our next guest. And we're back, and with us now is a veteran guest. It is Joe Wilkerson. He is the Director of Tennis at Mercy Healthplex Anderson, or the Mercy Healthplex Anderson Director of Tennis. You can ask him when you go see him, because he's here to talk about some really cool stuff. You guys just joined the Greater Cincinnati Indoor Tennis Association.
That's correct.
Did you get that right?
Yeah, we did.
Okay.
Yes.
Why?
It's one of the best-run leagues in the country. Luckily, it's host here in Cincinnati. It's been around since the early '70s. It was developed by some local clubs here in town, and the club, our club's opened in 1999. The league was already in existence at that time, and this past year, we just joined the league, and we'll start offering teams for the first time this fall.
And what does it benefit the club to join this specific association? Like, help people understand, why are you a part of that? It's like, why would you join? It's like joining a league or something, right?
Sure, it is a league. I mean, it is what the organization is there for. It's there to provide a league or a competitive outlet for tennis for the greater Cincinnati area and throughout the indoor clubs that exist here in Cincinnati. So you'll find that now our members have the ability to play on competitive teams against other local area clubs throughout the city.
Okay.
And like I said, one of the largest, best-run leagues around for sure.
So it provides the structure to actually have a season. And
yes, there's seasons and playoffs
build
and
rivalries and
championships.
Steal each other's mascots.
That's
and
correct.
Win championships.
That's correct.
I like that. You get championships, all about championships. Yeah. So it might be jumping the gun here, but What do the champions get? Anything cool?
Oh, trophies, plaques,
Awesome.
awards, things like that. We'll have we'll recognize them throughout the club and photos and things like that as well. So it'll be a good thing. It gets our members actually playing with one another against opposing clubs instead of just against each other.
Okay.
So now you get to play as a team. Healthplex becomes more of a team atmosphere and gives it almost a better social feel to the club because you're playing together against these other teams versus just against each other within the club.
I like that.
Yeah.
Like that. That's really cool.
Great.
So when folks who are in this, like if somebody at home is like, oh, this might be cool, if they join, they're representing the Healthplex.
Yeah.
When they do this.
Absolutely.
Do they get is it like cool uniforms and colors? Do you
Oh,
guys have
people
pep
will,
rallies and-
teams will put together uniforms and things. Absolutely, that'll happen. Each team usually has a week, just like junior athletics or even a lot of adult teams out there will have a weekly practice associated and then a weekly match that'll go along with it. They'll play a fairly lengthy season in the fall and then followed by a playoff at the end of the season. And they do the same thing in the winter months. They'll go from after the first of the year through a lengthy season and then a playoff. And then they'll also be offered a summer season after that. So it's kind of a year-round, 3 seasons a year to choose from, multiple levels and teams to go with throughout the club. And you get that team atmosphere. Like you said, there'll be uniforms and practices and things like that that'll go along with it as well.
So the individual teams, they can really kind of have as much fun with it and take it as far as they want.
Yeah, to
in
some
that
extent.
sense.
Yeah, to some extent. Absolutely, yeah. I mean, and a lot of teams do. They'll kind of wear the same color. That's kind of what most teams will do a lot of times. At least the female teams, the ladies' teams will for sure. The men are a little more rogue in general and wear their own thing.
Well, it's nice though. You have small teams. You don't have to go out and get a team bus
No.
or anything like that. You
No,
know,
no.
You can still kind of have fun with it.
Yeah.
So how many people participate in this league overall, and how many do you have so far just at the Healthplex?
Great, good question. The city of Cincinnati, I believe there's over 2,500 participants in the league
Wow.
throughout the city. In greater Cincinnati, not just within the city, of course, throughout the townships and the Beltway around, 275 all the way around. There are probably 350 teams or more
Wow.
in the league throughout the city at different levels, of course. I mean, there's all sorts of different levels. Tennis leveling goes from all the way with the league system from a 3.0 level and in half-point increments all the way up to 5.0.
Wow.
And you have teams that consist of just doubles teams that are for playing just singles. You have men's teams, women's teams, you have senior teams. So there's a lot of different, you have teams that are created for those who work and those who don't work. So you've got those who are stay-at-home parents and maybe you can have the morning hours free. You have leagues that are out there for weekend play for those who are working or evening play. And then you've got senior levels for those who don't want to play with the 20-something and 30-something players out there.
Wow, tons of options.
It's a lot of options on the table,
So
absolutely.
if someone has the desire to do this, if you're watching at home and you're thinking, I would love to do this, chances are you're not going to go in and be like, oh, there's no time for me to do it. There's nothing available. You're going to have something.
There's almost guaranteed to have something available for every player.
Unless it's like Sunday morning at 3 a.m. or
Yeah,
something.
maybe we won't try to do that one. No.
It usually is during regular hours.
Regular
right?
business hours, yes, or evenings. I mean, for instance, the Healthplex is open to 10 p.m. most evenings. And on the
Retail
weekend,
hours,
yeah, and
basically.
in the weekends we're open in the evenings till 6 or 7.
Okay.
So, you will find that all the matches happen within the club operating hours through all the clubs throughout the city.
Cool. Except for the secret underground matches, which we won't talk
Yeah,
about.
that's
Okay. So you're talking about all these different levels. What is the minimum skill level you would suggest for folks who want to get involved? Is this for something for people who, I've never played tennis before, but I want to try it out? Or do you need to have some experience?
You would have to have some experience to be in this league. What we call the 3.0 level is in the greater Cincinnati area would be a player who is a little beyond what we call an advanced beginner. Starting to delve into what we call an intermediate level player. Could go out there on their own, unsupervised, and play a match and be able to serve, keep score, keep the ball in play to a short rally, if you will.
Okay.
But you're not looking for a really advanced player either. In fact, our first year we're going to start out with just the 3.0 and 3.5 levels at the Healthplex.
Okay.
In the fall we'll start offering all the 3.0 and 3.5 levels. And then next fall we'll offer all levels of play all the way up to the 5.0 level. So again, you need to be able to play the game, need to be able to understand a little bit about doubles and how it's played and how it's scored and where to be on the court at what time, those type of things. But not by any means you need to be an advanced player at all to play in the league. If you're not a player yet, if you've yet to start playing the game and you want to learn to play, it's something you'd be interested in, gives you kind of a pathway. We do our TNT program. We've talked about it on here before.
Yes.
Tennis in No Time is going on right now at the Healthplex through the end of July. So if you're looking to learn to play, it's a great way to get out there. Hey, I want to try the sport, learn to play. From there, you'd go into an advanced beginner class after TNT and into maybe what we call an in-house league or a green ball league, a little lower level league. Kind of get your feet wet, understand how it works, understand how to play and how to compete, and then from there into the GCITA league. So it gives you a whole path from never touched a racket all the way into the competitive field of league play.
That's very exciting.
Yeah.
I know for me, tennis, I love playing tennis. And I can't say I'm awesome, but it started when my best friend, my roommate and I in college, took the badminton tennis course in school.
Sure.
And just him and I would just go at it all the time and loved it. And I'm typically a sports team kind of guy, but it's a sport that it's enjoyable, and almost anybody can pick it up.
Yeah, and you think tennis is specifically known as an individual sport. It's known as I'm going to go out and compete on my own
Right.
against others.
Right.
So when you give everybody the team format, it gives them that team feel they're looking for. A lot of people shy away from tennis because it's an individual sport. But now, especially if you have a doubles partner and you're out there and you're playing in a doubles league and you're playing with your teammates who are all playing at the same time as you are, it becomes more of a team sport and gives it that feel.
Very cool.
Still can play singles and have that individual feel to it, an individual aspect of being out there on your court. But now you get a little more of a team social feel to it than it used to have.
Awesome. Now, how are teams put together? Can people make their own teams? Can they ask to be placed? And how do you do that?
Both. We'll take members who want to start their own team and form their team, or we'll take players and place them on teams within the club. So we'll find a fit for everyone. If someone's looking, has got a group already together who want to play together and they're roughly the same level, then that's great. We can put them on, make their own, start them as a team and go there. It may help them fill some spots in their team. And then vice versa, if we've got people who just want to sign up and say, hey, I'd like to play on a 3-0 team. So then we can find them the 3-0 team that fits their schedule and their need, and we'll place them on the team and they're good to go.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Now, you say someone like me who wants to be part of a team, but maybe their cardio is not well. Do you offer quads so we don't have to run around as much?
Don't have quads.
I think that maybe there's a market for that. We can talk later. But so how is this available to current members? Is this an additional program? Is this part of what anyone can expect to partake in? How does that work?
You know, if you're a member at the club already, you're eligible to play,
Okay.
for sure. And if you're interested in playing and aren't a member, you know, you could look into joining the club and being a part and joining a team. That's something you're interested in doing. It is you basically pay to be a part of the league. It's
Okay.
a seasonal fee. I think it's very minimal. And then you pay just for each match. So when you play in the match, you pay a match fee, and that's it. And
Okay.
so you only are paying, when you're actually playing one of your matches. And that includes 2 hours of court time, can of balls, refreshments after the match. We have drinks and snacks and things available for people after the match finishes. So it's all included there. And if you're off that week or have a bye, you're not paying that week.
Awesome. Awesome. So what's the easiest or best way to go about expressing interest? Do they come to you? Is it anywhere in the club?
Anywhere in the Healthplex. In fact, the main service desk that we have in the main of our buildings where you'd stop and ask for more information. We just put our applications out today so people can pick those up, start filling those out as they're around the club or as they come in to check on things. Myself, if they have trouble, if they're trying to find a team, filling out the application gets the ball rolling.
Okay.
If they're not sure what level they are, they can contact myself directly or Gretchen McKnight, our tennis coordinator, directly, and she can help. And we will help find the right level or even schedule a session with them so we can figure out what level they are to make sure we put them on the right level team.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So if someone's expressing interest, they haven't played before, we talked about TNT, we talked about some other opportunities. Time frame wise, how long do you think it takes to get from, I'm holding my racket for the first time to getting to play competitively, even at an amateur level?
Great. I would say from the never touching a racket before to playing competitively in a lower level league, less than a year.
Awesome.
You can go from never touching a racket if you're playing and practicing, if you're taking some lessons, taking a group, if you're in something like TNT. If you go from TNT, we call our TNT grad program even, which is so kind of think of it as college. You get TNT grad, TNT PhD even, into an adult beginner, advanced beginner class. Within 3 to 6 months, you're going to be able to play on an in-house league. You're going to be able to go out there and compete and play on your own. In fact, at the end of a TNT session, you're able to go out there and play doubles on your own.
Awesome.
You could have three buddies or even singles and go out there and play a game of doubles or a game of singles without any problem at all. Your confidence level and be able to compete on a super competitive scale may take you 3 to 6 months to get to that point, but within a very short period of time, you're going to be able to go out and play the game of tennis, and that's what TNT is about. That's what any of our adult beginner programs are about. Is people come to us to learn to play, not to learn how to hit the best forehand or backhand or serve. I want to go out there and be able to play the game on my own. You know, yes, once I get to that level, then I want to improve my serve, my forehand, my backhand. But it's important to be able to go out there and have fun with a friend. If I can't teach you tennis and you can't go out on your own and have fun, then you're not going to play. So the objective is to get you to play the game and then continually improve your strokes and your strategy, your tactics, things like that after the fact.
Awesome.
So with a program like TNT, you're going to go very quickly into being able to play the game on your own. And then you'll continue, if you continue to learn and practice, you're going to be up to that competitive level, like I said, 3 to 6 months. You're going to be able to play on a team.
Awesome. What are some things folks at home can take into consideration health-wise, as far as if they want to be active in tennis? For people who are active in tennis, what are some things that you suggest? What are common injuries that you can avoid? The kinds of stretches, conditioning, strength stuff. Just in general, what can prepare you to stay healthy and to be as healthy as you can to play tennis?
I mean, of course, things like good diet, plenty of exercise on the tennis court, off of the tennis court. You know, if you're playing longer matches, you may want to look at some endurance things. Do you ever jog? Do you ever go for a long walk? Things like that to keep your endurance level up. Stretching and flexibility are huge in the game of tennis. Things like to prevent muscle pulls and strains through the legs, the calves, into the arms and shoulders and back even. So you want to stay as flexible as you can. You know, I know people do things like yoga and Pilates now to increase flexibility and strength. So those are great. It gets both for you. Any normal strength training you'd want to take a part of would be great. I mean, tennis, we're not known to be the biggest guys in the world, but in today's athletic world, the more you're doing off the court to condition, the better off you are. But a lot of stretching, a lot of things prevent the inevitable tennis elbow that everybody talks about. You've always heard tennis elbow is a big thing.
What exactly is that? How does that occur?
Tennis elbow is really just the overuse of the elbow.
Okay.
It's players who tend to use their elbow too much in the shot. They're hitting, whether it be a forehand or a backhand, is where it mostly occurs on the forehand side. It's where it comes in overuse. Players should try to avoid using their elbow to generate power or pace. The majority of your power and pace that you use to play the game should come from your core and your legs. Stronger muscle groups, stronger joints, not smaller, weaker joints like the elbow. And a lot of players tend to overuse that elbow, or the elbow takes the brunt of the impact of the ball instead of it being dispersed across the body. So you'll find that players will subject to tennis elbow. So if you can avoid using it too much, a lot of movement in the elbow when you're playing, and you can also avoid hitting the ball with the elbow in a bent position, then you'll find that the impact of the ball will be dispersed across your body and you won't experience tennis elbow.
Huh.
So yeah, it's a common injury. It's also easy to cure. It's a little rest, a little ice, a little patience. It'll go away on its own as long as you're, again, not overusing it and abusing it.
It's not, I mean, I know that there's forces involved in that aren't there when you're using like your mouse at work, but I know people get just overuse of the wrist moving around. It's just
carpal
kind of
tunnel,
a very
right?
similar
I mean,
thing.
yeah, it's just really an overuse issue, and people take a smaller, weaker joint of the cross of the body and overuse it, so then it becomes injured, strained.
Can it happen with pure proper form, or does it tend to be just poor form?
It's typically just poor form, almost always. I don't know that there's too many cases out there of anybody just simply just getting it. It's usually, like I said, the number one reason that people get tennis elbow is the absorption of impact with the ball. The ball hits the strings, and the elbow absorbs the impact of the ball instead of it being dispersed across, and that's that repetitiveness over and over and over again causes the joint to become inflamed and sore.
So strengthening your core, keeping your arms straight.
Yeah.
Do you suggest any, there's a lot of fast movement in tennis of reaction. Do you suggest incorporating any sort of training where, because I know like for football and different training in the past, not just doing an exercise a certain way, but doing it in kind of an explosive way. Does that help with tennis?
Sure. I mean, explosive movement is a lot of stop and go in tennis. So be able to stop and then go fast. So a sprint is good for tennis. Any kind of a sprinting drill would help with anything that help with your speed, or anything to strengthen your legs into quick reaction motion would be great to help with that kind of thing. But you'll find even in the game of doubles, you don't need to be that fast. I mean, yeah, it's a good workout. You should be moving the whole time, but you shouldn't have to really cover as much court. You got a partner out there. So it shouldn't take a ton of extra training to be able to play competitive tennis. If you're staying in shape and doing the right things on a normal basis, and you're playing tennis, you're going to be in better shape. You're getting more exercise, burning more calories a week than you already are if you're just working out.
Definitely. So when's the first season with the Greater Cincinnati Indoor Tennis Association start?
We're going to start this fall. We'll start the last week of August. I think the first week of play is August 26th. We're forming teams right now. We'll have to know what levels we're going to offer, or what teams we're going to form or host. by July 19th, so we're coming up on it pretty quick here. We're in the middle of forming teams as we speak, starting to get the word out and get people signed up and figure out what levels and what teams we're going to offer this year.
Awesome. So if you're already a member, they can find you, they can find information there. Well, what's the website?
MercyHealthPlex.com
Okay.
is our website. All of our information for anything tennis or the rest of the club is on the website. There's plenty of links to each department within the Healthplex there. They can go to tennis and find all the information about tennis or fitness or group exercise or aquatics, whatever they're looking for.
Fantastic. We just got about a minute left. Any other big plans, any big announcements about the tennis area? Anything coming up? Or?
Nothing really big coming up right now. We're in the middle of our summer season, so we're rolling through the end of August, and then we'll start our fall season with all our programming. We've got brand new courts at Healthplex. We just had them resurfaced this past Christmas, so over the Christmas holiday. So they're in great shape, beautiful courts.
Beautiful
great
facility.
Yeah,
too.
it's a great facility, a great place to be. So just ready to go for the fall now.
All right. You can check out the website. You can go visit Joe. Joe Wilkerson, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Buddy.
Absolutely.
Always
Thank you.
a pleasure.
Yeah.
Joe's got to get back to work, but we will be back with our final guest. Thank you for staying with us, and we are here with our final guest for this segment. Let me say hello to Superintendent of Forest Hill School District, Dr. Dallas Jackson. Dr. Jackson, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, Kyle, for inviting me here this afternoon.
Oh, it's our pleasure. Now, this is my first time having the pleasure of speaking with you, but you've been on the show before, so you're kind of a pro. and I think you're probably used to speaking to people and being in front of folks, I would hope. So
that happens occasionally.
So as I mentioned, you are the superintendent of the Forest Hill School District, and you've been in that position for how long?
This is my third year, so it's completing my third year.
Okay. And what was your experience before becoming superintendent? What's kind of maybe a little bit of your history, what got you here?
Prior to becoming superintendent of the Forest Hill School District, I was a superintendent in the Dayton area for about 4 years at Miamisburg City Schools. And prior to that, for a 5-year stint, I was assistant superintendent in Sylvania up near Toledo.
Okay.
So.
Okay. How does someone become superintendent? I mean, were you a teacher in the past?
Yes.
Is that kind of a prerequisite, or is that just people tend to like that?
Well, it's not really a
helps.
prerequisite, but it really helps to be an educator, so you have a little idea of what's going on, in the realms of education. And also a prerequisite is also getting into administration. I was a elementary principal for several years, as well as a middle school principal for several years on top of that.
Okay. There we go. I'm sure you were one of the nice ones.
I was.
So it's July now. School's been out for about a month. A lot of people have the idea that the kids are gone, the halls are dark and quiet, and it's just peaceful. But that's not the case, is it? There's a lot of activities still going on within the school district.
Kyle, it's almost just the opposite of that. Rather than having students in our buildings and hallways and that commotion, we have a lot of other things going on as well. For instance, I mean, for the past several weeks now, we've been on top of just basically cleaning our buildings. If you think about that in a nutshell, we have over 1 million square feet under roof in 9 different buildings, actually 10 if you count our central office, that has a thorough cleaning that is done. Not just the floors and the waxing and those types of things, but making sure that everything is in tip-top condition. As far as the lighting that's going on, the heating, the ventilation, making sure that's properly working. And again, just that whole getting those buildings ready for another year. If you think about having 7,600 students and teachers, another hundreds of teachers on top of that, and other employees and people in our buildings, they do take a little bit of use throughout the year. So it's getting those things all back together to start all over again.
Wow. So maintenance, we're talking deep maintenance that happens every year. What sort of other things outside of the building, unless there's other stuff you want to highlight, what other things that people may not think about that require maintenance, that require your attention on an annual basis?
Well, maintenance is an issue in that regard. As I said, making sure that not just our building's interior, but the exterior of those buildings as well, the grounds are in good condition. Currently, we've been working on a project at Turpin, just repairing some of the asphalt needs that we have. They potholes, they pop up just like they do on the streets and our driveways as well as some deteriorating sidewalks and those types of things. So outside of things that are going on within the buildings, we'd have to take a look at our whole environment outside as well.
What about things? I'm trying to think what else there's. Fields.
Sure.
But even like buses. I'm sure there's a lot of attention there.
Oh, absolutely. And again, just getting our fields in preparation for the upcoming athletic seasons. If you think about the wear and tear that they take over the school months and getting those ready for it to happen again. Take transportation. Our people are working very hard right now to make sure that the routes are in place for next year. There'll be some tweaking going on there, taking a look at who are our new students, who are those new kindergartners coming in, what routes are they going to be on, those types of things. But on top of that, the buses themselves. The buses just don't sit over the summer. In fact, we do a very, very thorough going over of all of our transportation fleet. In fact, we are inspected by the state of Ohio on a yearly basis, and it happens primarily during the summer months, where we, from, again, inside and out, not just cleaning, but making sure those buses, the brakes, the tires, the mechanicals are all in operating condition, and above and beyond just the operating condition. Because again, we're putting some pretty precious cargo on those things, and we want to make sure that they operate well above expectations.
Well, I have to give a shout out. You have a fantastic gentleman who works for you by the name of Ray Johnson,
Yes.
who is connected with us here and is a big supporter.
Yes.
He's kind of why I'm even here. I had a semi-pro football team, and we played football at Anderson High School. So Ray had to deal with me during summers for several years. And I know that there's a lot of activity, like with especially the turf fields. You got youth programs, you've got adult teams, you've got a lot of things going on. And those things are continuously getting wear and tear all throughout the summer. They don't get a break.
Exactly, right.
So
And we try to rotate them so they do give them a little bit of a break, but you're absolutely correct. And then as the fall, or as the summer kind of weather's on here, and in the beginning of August in particular, in just a very short while, those fields will get even extra work on them because we have our bands coming on, all of our own teams coming back to begin their practices, whether it be soccer, football, our tennis courts, all those things as well.
Awesome. So cleaning, maintenance, keeping things fresh and going. Are there other things that happen kind of like clockwork every year that outside of that? And do you have any kind of special programs that happen too?
Certainly. Well, this summer in particular, we've really devoted a lot of time for professional development for our staff. We've had literally hundreds of staff members coming in all summer long to learn more about technology, to learn more about the new state curriculum standards, to be prepared for when their kids come back here in just a short while. We have what is called our Forest Hills School District Learning Series. One of the main focuses outside of just those areas is a real concentration on technology. How can we better utilize technology in our classrooms so that we can provide better learning opportunities for our kids? So at any given time in almost any of our buildings, but in particular at our central office, that we've had many, many different, this summer, different workshops going on to help those staff members to be better prepared for next year.
So if anyone thinks that when the school year is over, teachers stick around for a couple days and then they disappear until a couple days before school year, they're mistaken.
I think they really are missing the boat. A majority of our teachers are in and out of our buildings all summer long as well. In fact, we even have to put signs on the door sometimes when we're waxing an area to make sure they're out of that area, but because of their involvement. One thing about the teachers that I've really learned in Forest Hills is they're a very dedicated group of individuals who work year-round at their profession, and that's why we are who we are. Forest Hills School District is one of the best in Southwest Ohio. In fact, we're one of the best in the state. But it's all comes down to great kids, great families, and in particular, great teachers. So
Special people like Kristen Faust and Mindy Trujillo, who are friends of mine, who I know are fantastic teachers.
Yes.
And if there's more like that, then that's definitely very understandable why Forest Hills is doing so well.
Right. And again, it's quality educators that really do make Forest Hills the district that it is. And one last thing, not last, but another topic to talk about is, especially with some of the events that's happened this past school year in regards to safety. We've always at Forest Hills done a very good job in making sure that our buildings are safe, that our classrooms are safe in all different types of situations. But a huge program that we're going to be implementing, a little bit of a change in what we're doing in the realms of safety is implementation of the ALICE safety program. And ALICE is basically just a different type of program to take a look at how we can keep our buildings and our kids safer from any type of intruders that may come into our buildings. So it's a little bit change of what we're doing. We have our plans. We update those plans all the time, and I want to really thank the Anderson Township Fire and Safety for all the work that they've done in our buildings, as well as our Hamilton County Police Force and Lieutenant Guy and everything that he's doing as well. But making sure that our kids are safe and making sure that our teachers have the tools in their toolbox, so to speak. And one of those is the ALICE program that we're implementing.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's just so much stuff that as superintendent, as educators, all the way down to the classroom teachers, so many things that you guys have to be considerate of and aware of and have to take into account when people think, oh, you just sit someone down and tell them 2 + 2 = 4. And there's just so much around that you have to be aware of. Things that happen other places, and then you have to reconsider. It's amazing you guys are able to stay on top of all of it.
Well, and sometimes, in my position in particular, it's like you wonder if you really are staying on top of it. But I think we do a pretty good job.
Awesome.
Of doing that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So, what other sort of summer cleaning goes on? Summer programs with the teachers, and anything else kind of in those categories that.
Well, one thing that I think it's good for our community to understand is that in a district with 7,500 students and a number of teachers and support staff of all types, is that we have teachers and those support staff come and go, as well as administrators. So a major portion or a large portion of our summer, as far as administrative goes, is making sure that we have quality people employed to come in and provide the services for our kids. And so this has been an exceptionally busy summer when it comes to screening and interviewing candidates for various different positions across our district, from administrative positions all the way down to custodial positions. So it's been a very busy summer to do that as well, to get those people in place ready to go first day of school.
I think impression, maybe in general public, is that that schools, there's the bond issues going up, there's budget issues, there's cuts here and cuts there, and some people grumble, well, they're not hiring as many teachers. Do you see that as an issue, or does Forest Hills in particular have the normal amount available? Are you hiring less or more, or do you have a lot more people applying for the positions that are open?
Well, let's address that last question first. We have a number of people that are applying for all positions. Forest Hills has always attracted quality candidates, even in a time when we may not be hiring that many candidates, or we still have a select group to look at. So that's the great thing, is that people are attracted to a district like Forest Hills.
Absolutely.
And so we do get an opportunity to hire the very best. On top of that, over the last several years, we've had a reduction in workforce across the entire district. And so we're actually employing fewer teachers and such over the last couple years. Now this year it's going to be pretty much the same as it was last year. 2 years ago was a year that we had a reduction of some positions across the board. But our teachers have stepped it up, the support staff have stepped up and we're doing things better. We're working smarter and more efficiently, and still providing a quality product, which is great kids.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And you guys, as far as like people in the employment, I think just there's a lot of variety there. You have your teachers and you have your principals. That's what people think of.
Exactly.
You have folks who run the office. You have coaches. You have this, but you have a lot of people who are support in the classroom itself, who aren't necessarily teachers, play a vital role. I mean, how many different kind of am I hitting on all of them?
No, you haven't begun to
I'm
touch
not
some of
even
them. I'm
close, am I?
But you've hit the major ones. We also have a variety of educational aides in our district who work with students. We have bus aides who help with our buses and support specific students. Again, we have the custodial staff. We have our maintenance staff. Quite frankly, we have well over 800 employees, whether full or part-time, in our district.
Wow.
So
my grandma was kind of a lunch lady, so I have to throw
sure.
out
So
lunch
again,
ladies.
you have to
Vital.
I have to throw out that
Vital.
most vital point is our people that work in our food services.
Yes.
They do such a wonderful job, and the product, the food that they produce for our kids is and again, there are more and more regulations and restrictions of what we can and can't do in food services, and so you sometimes hear some complaints about some of our choices, but when you take a real hard look at what we do, our numbers keep going up as far as the students and buying the lunches and the variety of what we're doing. And just as a note, this summer we've worked exceptionally hard at Anderson and taken a really hard look at doing some renovations in the cafeteria itself. Anderson is, although we started with Anderson as far as a self-service lines where kids can actually go in and choose what they would like to put on their tray rather than the old-fashioned way of maybe when you and I were in school, you walk through and you hand them your tray and they just put, they dished out what they wanted on there. So kids have a choice. But at Anderson in particular, that was one of the first buildings that we started the self-service. But now we have found that we can actually be more efficient if we, and we have looked at how we can have the students enter and exit those areas faster. So we've done a little bit of a renovation this summer in the Anderson cafeteria. So if anybody is in the Anderson this fall wants to take a look at that, it's great. And what it allows us is more efficiencies. Efficiencies of getting kids in and out faster, having them have an opportunity for more choice, and then providing different occupations or workloads for our cafeteria staff. So with that, Anderson right now will be the last building, and then that'll be all of our 9 buildings will have this whole self-service kind of more like a college atmosphere when you go to lunch. So it's really kind of nice.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I know it's probably not all you can eat like it was in college, but
No.
that's probably okay. I didn't help me when I was in college, to tell you that. So what other sort of summer projects are you guys working on? You talked about the cafeteria. Any renovations at Turpin, anything like that? Anything?
No, other than just the normal maintenance things when we go through a building. One thing at Turpin I will say is that, and again, having a number of square feet under roof, we have to make sure those roofs are in good condition. So we have done some roof repair and some minor replacement at Turpin. We couldn't do the whole thing all at once, but there are sections that we have worked on this year at Turpin, as well as some of our other buildings. We've done some work in Air in particular in regards to taking a look at that whole learning commons area in Air Elementary. But primarily it's just maintaining what we currently have, which we do a very nice job in doing, and then again, really addressing some of those needed repairs.
Just a question I meant to ask earlier. Do the teachers often utilize the summertime as, probably to me would be the best time to come in and just maybe revamp the classroom or tweak or really get set up? I can imagine with having several months with the kids not there, do you see a lot of kind of creativity flourish in that way?
Yes, absolutely. In fact, here in just a very short while, in fact, it's already beginning to happen here in July, but we'll have our teachers coming back to their classrooms and getting them ready for next year as well. Teachers just don't step into the buildings the day before school starts or the day that school starts for their children. They're in there, they're working on getting things ready, getting their planning up to date, making sure that that everything is where it needs to be, because we take everything out of those classrooms and when we clean them and we try to get it back where it needs to be, but we're not always perfect with that. But the teachers will come in and rehang posters and bulletin boards and make those learning environments really conducive for kids, to make it a friendly environment, so that whether you're a kindergartner or a preschooler all the way up through the 12th as a senior, that you feel invited when you go into those classrooms.
Awesome. We just have a minute left. Anything else you want to add or anything you want to share?
Well, again, I just appreciate, Kyle, the opportunity to come and meet with you and to speak with you regarding our school system. It's been a great experience for me for the past 3 years here in the district. I can't say enough about the quality community that we live in Anderson Township and the village of Newtown. The support that we get from organizations, like yourself, ACTV, but a lot of our business partnerships that we have. We have so many things going on in our school district that really, really, really do benefit children and show that we have a community that really values education.
Awesome. So. Well, Dr. Dallas Jackson, thank you so much for coming on.
Well, thank you,
It was my
Kyle.
pleasure to meet you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And hopefully we can see you again. This has been Dr. Jackson, Superintendent of Forest Hills Local School District. I want to thank you all for joining us for this month of July, and we'll be back next month with more guests. See you next time, Anderson.